Oh, yeah. Hello, everybody. Look at that. It's 11 o'clock. It's 11:01. I am late, like a rock star. Have everybody show up here and then show up late. It's a thing people do. I don't get it. Anyways, hi, everybody. This is Culture Drop Live. I'm Galen. Good to see people's faces as you show up. Leave a comment. Would love to see who's here, what company you work for, all that kind of stuff. Shauna's here. What's up, Shauna? Yeah, good. This is our last Culture Drop Live of the year. Going live today, and then obviously not next week, and not the week after because Christmas and New Year's and stuff, and things like that. So, yeah, good. This is the every Thursday, 11 o'clock, going live, talking about the topic from this week on Culture Drop, which this week was around starting challenging conversations. Elwanda, what's up? Good to see you. Thanks for popping in. Thanks for the shout out on that podcast. That was great. Love it. So let us see. Here's what we do. We always do a poll. We do a poll on our Instagram account every week. And this week we've had a poll every single day. Carrie does the polls. They're great. And it is, we had some good ones. So each of us on our team got to pick a different poll this week. Mine was, who's a better reindeer, Comet or Blitzen? Blitzen won with 61%. Nice work, Blitzen. It's a cool name, man. Which nog is better, almond nog or regular eggnog? Won't surprise if you know our team. It won't surprise you to know that was Emily's poll. People are like, "What the hell's almond nog?" Regular nog won 70%, but that means 30% of people thought almond nog was better, and I think that's a win for Emily, who's obsessed with almond nog. And let's see. Jay's ideal holiday was like at the beach versus on the mountain, like on the slopes. 67% were on beach versus slopes. And then Carrie's. Carrie, you're here. Is yours up right now? Holiday movie showdown. It's either A Christmas Story or The Grinch, like the Jim Carrey version of The Grinch. I think that poll is up right now. So if you haven't responded to that, there you go. That's a tough one, man. Christmas Story is classic. But the Grinch with Jim Carrey is the best Grinch by far, so that's probably my vote. Anyways, good stuff. What do we got here? The end of the video this week was my favorite. Oh, Shauna, yeah, the sound effects one. Man, Jay and I have some fun time. So for those of you that are on the Culture Drop, the next 2 weeks that we have, because obviously people are on vacation and out mode, next week is a recap of the year, and then the last, the week of New Year's, Jay put together a video that is just like outtake highlights for the whole year. So it's just like we've all seen it. It's pretty funny. It's just like a bunch of outtakes of basically me being weird and Jay and I fooling around, and it's really great. So yeah, good polls this week. What else? The Grinch. Yeah, Jay loves the Grinch. Okay, so let's do this. We talked this week. The Culture Drop was around starting challenging conversations and like navigating those things, which is something that I field that sort of topic and conversation a lot. And this is one of the like simple hacks for human beings, and that is like just asking for permission to share your feedback or observations or thoughts. I think that's like just a really effective way to sort of put somebody, to reduce the chances that somebody gets put on the defensive if you have to share some feedback or you have pushback or, just something that's potentially dicey or potentially challenging or like emotionally volatile conversation. I think it's just a nice door into that conversation to be like, I have some thoughts or observations or like, assumptions that I'm making. Can I share them? Are you open to hearing those things? And I think that, part of the reason to ask is that if someone says yes to that, they're basically saying like, yes, I'm open to hearing your thoughts. Yes, I'm open to hearing that feedback. And I think by them agreeing to and saying yes to that, it sort of, they automatically put themselves in a space of, I'm going to listen and hear this thing out. And I think it's more effective than if you just come in being like, here's some feedback, here's some thoughts, here's my opposition to that, or someone has a terrible idea. Even if somebody shares an idea with you, something they think is a great idea, and you're like, I don't like that as a great idea. I think even as a response to that, it's just be like, well, blah, 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 to be like, just even to bring that up of like, I have some observations or thoughts or like perspective on that that might be different than what you think, or like, are you open to hearing that? Do you want any feedback? And I think it's just a useful thing rather than just like constantly puking your opinion on people. So I see. There we go. The sun was like directly in the There we go. I was like, am I getting washed out because the sun is glaring on the camera? Anyways, now you can see my face better. Is that important? Anyways, it's good. And the other thing I mentioned in the blog and the video this week too is if someone is like, no, I don't want to hear your feedback, I don't want to hear that, like, don't share it with them. I think that's another thing, is giving people the opportunity to not hear your opinion, which, depending on the context of the situation, obviously there's dynamics there. If if it's an employee and you're a leader giving feedback to an employee, they don't necessarily have the option to be like, no, I'm not interested in hearing that. But I think for a lot of situations, if someone is like, no, I don't really want to hear your pushback, I don't want to hear your observations, or like, being able to like have the presence of mind and emotional awareness and just like to keep your mouth shut. Like, sometimes someone doesn't want your opinion, and if they say that they don't give it to them anyways. I was talking with a friend of mine this week about that, where they had a leader that would do that, be like, are you open to hearing this feedback? And the times that they were ever like, no, not right now, and then they got really mad about that. I think it's like, you also have to be willing to hear someone say no and then not punish them for it. I think if you're going to ask somebody, are you open to hearing that? You need to, there's like trust and rapport in that relationship, that if that person says no, you're not like, I was only asking as a courtesy, but I'm going to tell you this thing whether you want to fucking hear it or not, which is like kind of rude and weird. So anyways, what do we got? I always like to check in with the chats and see if we're missing anything. Great point. Shauna was saying that they might not have time at the moment, so setting up for a better time to have that discussion is positive. Yeah, totally. And it might be like, hey, are you open to me sharing some thoughts or feedback? And if they say no, or it also can be like, is now a good time? And I think that if that is the conversation with like the leader and employee, for example, where your employee doesn't have the option to be like, no, I don't want to hear this feedback because it's important, but it can be like, is now a good time to have that conversation? If it's not already scheduled, if you're sort of springing that on somebody, I think it's also great to be like, when is a good time for you to have that conversation and be in a more receptive headspace, or right to have all of your attention. I think is a really great point. You guys are great. Yeah. I have feedback from my boss's boss. Yeah, right. How do you give feedback to your boss's boss? That it just, so much of that depends on the organization, right? Your ability in any function, in any role of the organization, to go to anyone else, like superior or not, or your boss's boss, and give them feedback or share some thoughts. I would always hope an organization is open to that, right? And like, in truly having a culture of feedback, any single person, a brand new frontline employee that's been there for 4 days, should be able to have a conversation with anybody on the executive team and say, here's some things I'm seeing, can I get your perspective on this? Again, I think it's important how you approach that, because, and we've kind of circled around about this too when I talk about challenging conversations, especially if it's you have to deliver challenging news to your boss or someone that might not be receptive to it, or you're afraid of them retaliating, right? Or push back, or it ruining your reputation or damaging that relationship. So I think a lot of times, even if the feedback is directly about something that you're doing, like, you are my boss, you're doing something that I hate and it drives me crazy, I think a really nice soft way into that conversation is, I have some observations, I have some thoughts, but I want to get your take on this. I think it's good to go in asking for advice from that person. Again, the goal is to frame up that conversation so that they are in a receptive space to hear it. So if I have some feedback for you about you as my boss, the things that you're doing that suck, I'm going to approach that and say, hey, I want to get your perspective on something. I would like to pick your brain, hear your observations, and like just see what you think of this situation that I'm dealing with, and just hear what you have to think about that. And like, automatically that person's going to, even if they're not an emotionally intelligent person, or they're not open to feedback, if that is the framework into the conversation, they're going to automatically be like, oh, I'm going to provide guidance and expertise here, and like, I'm wanted. So they'll always be receptive to be like, yeah, sure, run something past me. And then the feedback is about them, and you'd be like, here's the experience I'm having, right? Here's this dynamic, or here's this thing I've noticed about our relationship. And again, even coming from a place of, how can I approach this differently, or what is going on for you? Like, what is your perspective? What are you experiencing here in these moments that, like, to me it feels like this, or here's the experience I'm having, but I want to get your insight and input, because I'm making some assumptions about this, right? And that it's an easier way into those conversations. So asking for permission. And then if it's your, Awanda, this might be on the I might not have taken that in the right sort of track, but I think advice, giving feedback to your boss's boss, I think still can be approached. Make an appointment with that person, sit down and frame it up of like, I want to get your perspective on this thing that I'm seeing or observing or experiencing, and like, what do you think? I think is a great way into that conversation, so that you're going asking for advice as opposed to like, I have something I have to tell you about how you suck. Anyways, good. Yeah, sweet. Just want to like see. I think about out of the order. The retaliation is the concern, right? You're afraid that like someone's going to come back and be like, how dare you give feedback to me? I'm so fucking important here. Which I'm like, what kind of organization runs that way where people can't give feedback to their leaders? It's so toxic, man. It's so ridiculous to be like, as a structure, institutionally, we think that these people that we've put in leadership positions are exempt from feedback and improvement. Like, that's just, it's so stupid. I hate it. I hate hearing about that stuff. It's like, if your employee doesn't feel like they can go, and because the feedback that you have is about improving something, whether it's improving your job and your experience, which will make you a more productive employee, or you notice something about the organization that is not efficient or is toxic or weird. It's like any of that feedback is always rooted in the place of, I am an employee trying to make something better. It might be my job and my experience, which will make me a better employee, or it could be some conditions or process or something in the organization, but like the purpose of that feedback is to like improve it, or point out or highlight that something is broken or needs to be fixed, or it's just like, why organizations wouldn't be open to that. It's 100% ego. It's so bullshit. It's like, it's just ego, and like seeing any feedback as a criticism or like a threat to my authority as a leader is like so much bullshit to me. Anyways, those are my thoughts. Y'all know, if you follow me at all, you know that I'm just like so pro feedback. Ask for feedback, give feedback, make it safe. Everybody in an organization should know you can give feedback to the CEO that is critical, and you will not be retaliated against for it. Like, it's be like, cool, we want to hear these things. It may not agree with you. It may not be something that's incredibly valid, but like to feel heard and listened to, and to have a space where like we're receptive to these things, like we want you to bring them up. It doesn't mean that everything you're going to say, we promise that we'll fix or change based on your perspective, but it's like to allow the conversation, I think is like, it's just healthy relationships, right? Anyways, cool. There we go. Cool. Any, as part of this too, we also do kind of like an Ask Me Anything. So any burning questions about any of these things, just, or any other like work things people going on, applying for a job, want some like advice for interviews. I love talking about everything and all things, teams, people, human, entrepreneurship. So if anyone has any questions, pop them out there. And yeah, also, Awanda, I don't know if you're saying yes because you have a question, but hit me with it if you do. I'm going to take a look. We did have a couple comments on YouTube that were great too. I love the comments that come in on YouTube. I think somebody had asked about if you are if you're a leader giving feedback to the employee, what do you do in the dynamic where they don't have the option to say no, right? Where it's like you're saying, like, I've got some feedback, are you open to hearing that? If it's an employee, it might not, right? That's not necessarily the dynamic, is that they can choose to be like, no, I don't want to hear this. But my sort of response to that was, then the context is a little bit different, where you're like, I have some feedback, or I want to talk about something, is now a good time, or when is a good time for you? Instead of, because that can just be it can just be a matter of timing. But it's a great question. Oh, you want to know what my lightsaber color would be? Is that the question here? Man, I'd never thought about that, but it would obviously be blue, but not like the light blue of like the old school Luke Skywalker stuff. I think mine would be like a nice dark blue, like this shirt, like a deep blue. That would be my lightsaber color, if you get to choose, which I think you do. Anyways, okay. Well, you guys are great. If any other like questions or things come up, that's great. I always every week. Carrie on my team runs the affirmation destination on Instagram. That is the handle, and they have different affirmations. And today's affirmation is, I am a miracle maker. I like that one. That's great. I think like a lot of them have to do with self-empowerment and like you have control over things, and I love this one. Elwana's lightsaber color is purple. That's legit. That would be tight. But are you? I mean, my guess is, are you like Rebel? Or are you like for the Empire? It's okay if you're for the Empire, no judgment. But also, I'm just curious. Purple would be a badass lightsaber color. Cool. All right. Last thing I want to say, or that like I normally end with a like read, watch, listen thing, and I watched a movie last night again for the second time. That if you have not seen this movie, you must see it. It's so funny. It's book smart. It's so great. It's like the high school coming of age graduation. It's like this generation's like Can't Hardly Wait. It's so good. The soundtrack is bombastic. Like the both the women that are in that, the lead characters are so charming, endearing, lovely. It's so well directed. The script is great. The story is great. It's lovely. It's tragic. It's all the things. It's like, it's so good. Anyways, highly recommend that movie if you haven't seen it. Yeah, Awanda, you're Rebel, of course. Rebel Alliance is the only way to go, dude. I mean, you heard it here first. Fuck the Empire. Okay, cool. All right, well, that is probably it. Like I said, we are not going to go live next week or the week after, so I'll be back in January with these. And if in case you're not, I'm pretty sure everybody that is here is, but like, follow me on social channels. So like Twitter, Instagram, blah, 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 blah. All that stuff, the YouTube channel, you can subscribe, and then when we put videos out, you get it. BG's documentary was awesome. Gotta watch that still, Carrie. Cool. All right, that's about all I got, everybody. I hope everyone is like doing well, being kind and great, taking care of yourself. It's been a weird year. I'm excited to like bust out the gate in 2021. So yeah, but like, be wonderful, be lovely, be great, be awesome to other people. Thank you guys for like showing up and like tuning in for the questions and banter, and it's so wonderful. But yeah, you're all great. I love you. Everyone have a safe holiday, a safe New Year's, and be well. Be on video calls with friends, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, get on the Instagram poll and vote for our last one, which is the movie. Cool. All right, that's it. I'm gonna go. Everyone have a good holiday. Yeah, I love you people. See ya. Bye. That's it.